All right, so let's move on to the big fellas because we saw a fight this weekend between where we saw Dillian Whyte in the ring against Jermaine what was his last name? Anderson. Let me make sure I get his name right. Because he actually showed Jermaine Franklin.
Jermaine Franklin, yeah.
Jermaine
Right.
Franklin. So he actually had a good showing of himself. He's not the body beautiful that we would like to see with some of our heavyweights. I think uh, neither one of them is. And then outside of Anthony Joshua and probably Deontay Wilder, these are some dad bods on display. But with that said, I thought that Jermaine got the short end of the stick for this decision. Dillian Whyte looked done to me. I said it throughout I was kind of tweeting the pundits throughout the night. His punches did not have the snap on them. He had a jab that he was kind of flicking out there. It wasn't necessarily a punishing jab, but his left hook was just gone. His left hook to the body would show up sometimes or whatnot, but it was, his nickname is actually the body snatcher. But it wasn't, and you would think with somebody with the kind of soft shell of a body that Jermaine Franklin has, that he would kind of work overtime to do this. And he was working for the first time with Buddy McGirt. But this fight was essentially to put him in a position to challenge either Anthony Joshua or, I think a bit of a pipe dream was, a Tyson Fury fight. But do you see, after this display of, whatever he gave into the ring this past weekend, do you see Dillian Whyte fighting Anthony Joshua next? And do you think that's a good fight for Anthony Joshua? Let's go with you, Boston Jared.
I didn't watch the fight, so you're gonna have to skip over me on this one. I did not have a chance to watch that fight.
I mean,
I watched the highlights, man, and in the heavyweight division, man, it's especially for like UK boxers, it's like set yourself up to look good to fight the champion, and then even in a loss, you're still set for the rest of your career. So Dillian Whyte, I mean, with this win, if he set up to fight Joshua at the 0-2, sell out the 0-2, even if he get knocked out, he's set. I don't think he's fighting for or setting himself up to be a heavyweight champion. I think he set himself up to be a paid punching bag.
Yeah, and that's exactly the fight you'll probably see next. You'll probably see Anthony Joshua, especially given that Fury is fighting Chisora for a third time. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. So Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury gave Anthony Joshua the perfect excuse to go in there and fight Dillian Whyte for what, the second time or the third time?
Second time.
Even better. Second time against Dillian Whyte. Yeah, go ahead. Run the ship back against Dillian Whyte, man.
Who will win between Chisora and Whyte?
They already fought.
Who won?
Yeah, Dillian Whyte won. Didn't Whyte stop him?
He slept him, but it was a close fight up until that point. And I think that's the reason why Derek Chisora is able to endear himself to the British fans and stuff, is that he gives a good account of himself up into the fight, even if he does come in on he's just limited right now. He's not a concussive puncher. Might have some stamina questions. His technique is not something that you would teach any young fighter, but he has plenty of heart, and he's gonna if he's still standing on 2 feet or whatnot, he's gonna give us all. I'll go back to you, Jerry. I mean, do you? I know you didn't see the fight, but do you like this as a fight for Anthony Joshua in trying to recoup some of the cachet that he's lost over this last year?
I do like this fight. I know I have been championing the Zhili Zhang fight in China, but I think that having thought about that a little bit more and having seen what's kind of gone on outside the ring with China, I think dealing with the Chinese government is just a little bit too much, a little bit more ass pain than Eddie Hearn and the folks at DAZN are willing to deal with. And I think that the Dillian Whyte fight is just makes too much sense, and it's way, way easier to make. And I think it's as dangerous, if not less so, for Anthony Joshua. So yeah, this is the perfect fight to make. This is the perfect get back, get right fight, confidence building fight. A guy you've already knocked out. You should have all the confidence in the world that you can go in there and beat this guy up again. There's nothing that Dillian Whyte has done over the last several fights that Anthony Joshua and his team should be losing sleep over.
All right. So, Coach, if AJ was your fighter, he's lost 2 fights in a row. He's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. He's been stopped, one time within there. Do you like this fight against a Dillian Whyte who probably has seen better days? Do you like this as a good fight for Joshua to, get his confidence back?
Yes. And be honest with you, man, for me, if Joshua was my fighter, it would definitely be for the confidence, but like right now, I told you guys, after a certain amount of time, man, and really from the jump, these fighters can be either fighting for legacy or loot. You know what I'm saying? And right now, Dillian Whyte just loot, man. Just go on and get the money you can get and get on up out of there, right? Joshua, he at that crossroads. I think he can. I think this fight with Whyte would be, both. Go ahead on get some money, and then try to establish your foundation for some legacy, and hope you can get whoever you can get. Fury, Usyk, or or Wilder. That's his legacy. Or get on up out of there, man. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even try to do 2. I wouldn't try to do Whyte and then go over there to China unless you're just going straight for loot. Because that big boy over in China, that might be a 60-40 fight, man. You know what I'm saying? It might not be as easy for where he's at. But I like the fight with Whyte, establish that confidence, and then have something to talk about that where you might could just on name alone try to slide into something where you go towards your legacy. But his boxing whole his legacy it is around Fury, Wilder, Usyk. That's it, man. And I don't mean to take away from nobody, but you gotta get one of those in before you go, or you just
You're speaking of AJ at this point.
You know what I'm saying? You're just an average heavyweight, man. You're just an average heavyweight. Seriously. That's my take on it.
All right. So speaking of legacy, we have a fight this weekend who some think is the best heavyweight of this current generation, which is Tyson Fury. He is going to be in the ring against for the 3rd time, the trilogy that nobody was blowing the trumpets for, against Derek Chisora. And I've been, I think, a little more critical of this fight than most of the pundits. I think part of the reason why is that I think that, there's that song that, everybody plays the fool. And I think that as boxing fans that we kind of get lured into playing the fool sometime. And I do, I think that this is kind of okay. They're saying that this is okay because he wants Usyk, and we really can't have that fight. But I think the whole kind of news around and debacle that happened with Anthony Joshua, I think that was a kind of a purposeful fallout to have us to say that, well, I tried to make this fight, but that fight didn't happen, so I had to kind of do this fight. And nobody's really giving him the criticism that say that a Terrence Crawford would get because this fight is around the time that he was supposed to fight Anthony Joshua, right? So obviously there was some negotiation, or there was a plan B that they necessarily had, but they also wanted to be able to provide this narrative to the public that, hey, I really wanted to make this fight, so I'm gonna but I couldn't. It's not my fault, so I'm gonna take this fight against somebody who I beat handily twice, who is, I'm not sure if he's in the top 10 of most boxing thing. And I mean, if you try to give your friend a payday and a beating to go along with it, I mean, hey, more power to you. But the fight, rightfully so, has had no traction, across the U.S. markets. But apparently they've sold 70,000 tickets in the UK. And Tyson Fury, is the attraction. So I think that he has established himself where if he fights, people are going to come and watch it, particularly over there in the UK. But let's start with you, the casual Ram, because you've been somebody who's been a little bit supportive of this fight. Are you excited about this fight this coming weekend?
I'm not excited, but I disagree with your narrative. With your comparison. So the difference, like we've sat and talked about this ad nauseum of if Joshua should take this fight. So I mean, you made like your narrative was like, yeah, they offered it to him and then but charged the charge. But we talked ad nauseum. Joshua should not take this Fury fight because it will end his career once he loses. So I want to go at that angle, like, all right, so Fury offered it to Joshua. Joshua, we all agreed that he shouldn't take that Fury fight after a loss. So what he's supposed to do? He asked for the Usyk fight, but Usyk pulled out with a hand injury at the time? He said, look, he was like, it won't be until next year because I have a hand injury. But at Tyson Fury, pound for pound in the heavyweight division is the number one. I'm like, hey, if he wants to just fucking give Chisora a handout, I think he's in a good position to do so. And this was rightfully his time to do so. He's not asking the U.S. audience to pay $70 like the Wilder fight. This is free for us. And and we always said, the British boxing population, they come out and show out for their fighters. So I think this is just more of a showcase fight for Fury, and I think he deserved at this time, the time period, the space and time, he deserved the right to have a showcase fight.
All right, Boston Jared, do you agree with that sentiment?
What, that he deserves a showcase fight?
Yeah, and that
I wouldn't say that he
couldn't get anybody else in the ring, apparently.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's all this is. This is a kind of a glorified stay busy fight. I don't like to say who deserves and doesn't deserve what when it comes to the sport. I think it should be merit based. I mean, he fought a mandatory. Well, look, actually, let me walk that back. The Dillian Whyte fight that he fought last was a voluntary, correct? That was a WBC mandatory, right? For Dillian Whyte, who had been the mandatory for 1,897 days and whatever. Yeah. So I stand corrected. Randy's right. You do your mandatory, you were entitled to voluntary. So he did his mandatory against Dillian Whyte. He is entitled to his voluntary. So I take that back. Randy is 100% correct. He does deserve
to fight somebody that's not in the top 10 of any sanctioning body.
Well, that's on the British board of the BBBFC, whatever the fuck they are. That is on them to sanction the fight. If they say that, hey, Chisora is 50 years old, he's been in act, whatever, he hasn't won a fight, they don't want to sanction the fight. That's on them. If it's sanctioned and everyone puts the money up, then that's not on Tyson Fury. That's not his fault.
You remember when he first announced it, Top Rank was like, hell no. But then
who announced what?
When Fury originally said he wanted to fight Chisora,
and he said that before Anthony Joshua was even.
Yeah, Top Rank was like, hell no. And then when
I don't remember that. There was an article
when everything played out, and then you see it happen.
Yeah, Top Rank was just like, no, he's not going to fight him. You know, they were looking for.
But my thing is,
like Bob Arum did.
If you follow Fury, and I honestly believe he has 3 fights max left in his career, and then he's going to hang it up. He's already been threatening to retire. If you already in that mindset, you're not going to do a mandatory against a up and coming threatening fighter. You're going to save those 3 fights for Anthony Joshua, a Wilder. He even said he will fight Wilder again.
Who said that?
Fury. He came out recently. And he was like, "Man, I will end you." He's like, "If it's a 4, he will end him."
That's not like a serious kind of talk towards a fight. I don't think.
I think, but it is.
I think it's accurate. I think it's accurate talk, though.
But you know what I'm saying? It is because if Wilder and Ruiz fight and Wilder beats Ruiz, then he is the mandatory for the WBC. So it's in the realm of possibility that it might be a Fury Wilder 4. And I say that as one of the 3 fights that Fury has left in his career. So I say that this fight with Chisora, let him have it, man. Let him have it. He deserved it.
Fight that nobody wants. All right. So, Coach, what are your thoughts? you think that he should? He's done so much at this time, which I don't necessarily think he's done that much in the sport. Y'all act like he's been fighting killers, all that. But he's done so much that he gets to fight somebody who's out of the top 10 in any sanctioning body, who he's already beat twice. He stopped last time. And do you like this fight?
So for Fury, yes. Yes, I like the fight. All right. So here's my deal. All right. So I think Randy was right. Fought the mandatory. Jared backed him up, doesn't get him voluntary. Right? Bam. That's number one. I think, you can't sit here and say how well we want, and how much we're okay with doggone, Joshua, fighting White, and we all cool with that. But yet, because to me, that's the same thing. In the same way, Fury gonna walk through Chisora,
Joshua's coming off 2 back-to-back losses, and
but it's
Fury's undefeated, and is fighting a guy who's lost 3 of his last 4 fights.
But the opponent, both of them whooped their ass, the opponents, and then also we can't sit here and say how we might want to a seasoned fighter to give an up and coming person a fight. The politics of boxing, man, and not only the politics of boxing, but the preservation of boxing. Fury is fighting for legacy. He's fighting for
nothing for his legacy. We can
say what?
I'm saying this does nothing for his legacy. No.
So fight preservation, the politics and the preservation of he need fight this thing. So one fight can take so much out of you, man. So sometimes with this, ain't always just thinking about with the fist. because we ain't the ones in that ring. This man is trying to save his doggone what he got to get his, and you gotta respect that. So we can't just, and it's going back to that holistic of boxing, man. You got to see where this man is at in his career and what he's going for, and respect it. And Randy hit it on the head too. He ain't got that many more, man. He really don't. He really don't. But he needs to get up out of here with that title undisputed, in the same way that I'm saying, so strong about what Joshua has to do for his legacy. Dude, the man is going for legacy. That's it. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to cement his, while Joshua is really trying to develop and solidify his.
One of the show.
All right, this is your man, Professor Nim, signing off for Coach Dave. The Casual Rand. And Boston Jared.
Peace.
Thank y'all for popping in for another popping episode.
Like and subscribe. Don't just watch and not push the like button, man. Y'all niggas
and comment too. Don't be scared. If you got something to say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest.
Right.
Say it with your chest.
That's right. I will respond too.
If I feel like I'm gonna respond to your ass.